Okay, we have quorum, so we will get back into it. Item number 5, the natural gas rates. We have one delegation, Mr. Harold Drewitz. When you're ready, sir. Mr. Drewitz.
So I'm here to speak to the KU natural gas rate decrease. On page 5-2, you state the rates are set annually. I trust you realize that this has not been the case for the last 2 years and now in 2015. It was July 1st for 2013 and September 1st for 2014. Did KU administration notify council and the public that the rate change would be delayed by 2 months? Therefore, the rate was effective or in effect for 14 months. I partially understand why you didn't change the prices within the 1-year period. As per IF 2-17, Statement of Revenues and Expenses and Stabilization Reserve Fund report, KU customers continue to be hosed by this council and administration. As per the attached schedule, using KU information from July 2014 through September 2015, we are again paying $1.7 million higher than Union Gas customers. This is on top of the $50 million plus amount we paid for the approximate 2009 through 2013 calendar year period. When is KU Purchasing going to get this correct? There's no question the survey sent out to KU customers last year did not contain full disclosed information, and therefore the replies to the questionnaire were based on incomplete information, whereas full disclosed information would have been completely different results or replies. For example, with the commodity price being as low as it is in the last 15 months or so, I suggest there should have been a KU rate reduction March 1st, 2015, particularly when the crude oil and natural gas are predicted to be at current prices for several years. Based on my 2 previous paragraphs, our recommendation to Council is go back to the purchasing method used by KU prior to April 1998. We suggest Union Gas can do this function in a more cost-effective manner. At the present time, KU Purchasing is just another level of overhead that can be eliminated. At the bottom of your page 5.1 of your report, it states the supply and transportation programs are cost-based services. I understand the purchasing department's cost is included in the expenses to purchase the natural gas commodity and therefore not transparent. Further, we disagree with the rate reduction. It should go even lower than the 10.5 cents you recommend by close to the amount KU customers have been overcharged during the approximate last 6 months. I will be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Drewitz? I'm not seeing any. Thank you for coming in today. Will staff be making a presentation or just responding to questions? Is there just for questions? Okay. So questions of staff, Councillor Gazzola.
I left all my papers with this at home, so my questions will be very quick. I wonder if can you tell me, we know exactly what our price is going to be for the next year or so? What percentage, going forward, what percentage of the gas we purchase are based on fixed contracts? Can you tell me that?
Mr. Malcolm.
Through the chair, with the natural gas policy update from council last year, 90% of the gas is purchased in that year. So basically, during the past summer months, starting approximately around April, we've been buying gas on the spot market on a daily basis. We have not bought any fixed contracts for the summer time period to fill our storage.
But you still have, what was the 90% figure you gave?
90% of our gas purchases have to be done within the year one of the purchasing policy. So for the gas year coming up, so in this year we have to have 90% of it bought. 10% can be done on fixed contracts.
And so is that pretty much the case going forward? 90% is spot market and 10% is fixed?
90% is the pricing within the year, so the first year, and 10%. So if we look at year two,
yeah,
we have the option to buy more fixed in year two.
Well, what is that then? What is it for? If I look at year two, what?
Year two would be around 30 to 50% would be allowable. And the minimum that we would have is 20%. So the first 2 years we go from a 20% minimum. Once we get to year 3, 4, and 5.
Sorry, what's the 20% fixed?
That's the minimum that we can purchase going forward. So 2 years from now, we're allowed under the policy to purchase 20%.
Okay.
And then the rest is based on that during the year.
So the other, you could go 80%.
Yes.
Spot.
It's to align us with closer to market rates as opposed to in the future.
I guess I really had trouble understanding why there's such a variance in the gas supply when you budget 25 million and you end up the revenue is 27 million and the expense was 22 million budgeted and it ended up at 19 million. There was a $5 or $6 million swing there, and I just can't quite understand how that would happen.
Through the chair, as prices were reduced on the market, we purchased gas during that time period. As the winter progressed, customers, especially in February, started consuming more gas because of the colder temperatures. The gas that we're using in February is gas that we had in storage at a lower price. So we were collecting money on that based on the price of the day that we put the gas into storage as opposed to the market price in February. So that's why you see a fluctuation. Weather has a huge impact on natural gas rates in the market. During February, the gas prices rose, and then in the summertime, they decreased down.
During the summer, if these figures of that Mr. Druitt's put forward, which I imagine he got from you, like Union Gas is on the spot market, 100%?
The way Union Gas does it is they project what the future gas cost will be in the following year. So they do that every quarter. So in the past one in October, they'll forecast what the prices will be from November through to the end of the winter season. Once they predict that amount, what the market's going to be, they take a look at how much have they collected from their customers. And then from that, they either reduce the rate in comparison depending on what the forecast is and what they've collected, or they may increase the rate if their projection wasn't correct. So they're buying out there as a periodic purchasing, but the pricing itself is basically determined as to what actually happened in the market as opposed to what the forward price was looking at.
And they're doing this every quarter?
Every quarter they go to the Ontario Energy Board for their rates.
for the supply rate, they have to go to the Energy Board to change that?
Yes,
So right now, from these figures, our rate is 10 and theirs is 11, so we're very close.
that's correct. We're 0.5 cents lower.
Okay, that's fine. The other part I don't quite understand is we had a surplus on the transportation part of it. I thought the transportation was like the supply in and out. We don't make any profit on it.
That is correct.
Why? What happened to that?
Okay, Councillor Gazzola, your time has expired. Do you have any more questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, would you mind ringing back in? Appreciate it. Councillor Galloway-Seelock?
Yeah, I just have one question with regards to this. I was looking at the gas transportation rate that we are looking to change and increase. Is there any opportunity to look at a slightly less increase, and what impact does that have?
When we went through our rate structures, we took a look at what our balance is, and we were charging less than what our actual costs were. So necessitates the increase up. If you look at the 4 cents, that's bringing us back to from a year ago. So last year at this time, we were at 4 cents, and then we dropped it to 3 cents based on favorable transportation that we were purchasing. The purchasing costs have increased substantially over the past year, and now we're at that point where we're back up to that 4 cents that we were once again. So the transportation, again, is like our supply. It depends on the market forces. And right now, the market forces are leading for higher transportation costs to get the gas to the province of Ontario.
So I heard you say that it's reflective of our actual costs.
That's correct.
So then I just have to question why it says the proposed rate increase is required to bring the program's projected stabilization reserve to an appropriate position.
The previous year, we had a surplus in our transportation side, and the costing that we were getting as far as the forward pricing for our transportation was positive. But during the course of the year, transportation rates in the market rose, and the cost to deliver that gas rose as well.
Okay, so...
Mr. Chapman, is something to add?
Just to add to that point, and I think the question that Councillor Gazzola was alluding to, he referenced that there was a surplus in transportation, but if you look at page IF2-17 in the package, we were budgeting year-to-date a surplus of $71,000. We've actually had a loss of $400,000, and we're projecting that that will only continue to year-end. So this rate is required to essentially keep our stabilization balance in a positive position, based on the loss to date plus the loss that we anticipate to the end of the year.
Okay, I think just some of the wording in the report makes it appear as though some of that increase is to cover or try to get us back to more of a stabilization reserve, but I'm hearing something different. So I appreciate that. That's my only question.
Thank you. Councillor Gazzola.
Are you back to me?
I am.
Okay, I wanted to go along those same lines, and I guess I wonder how big of a I didn't think we needed any reserve with transportation and supply, or if we did have a reserve, it would be a 2 or 3 year thing that we would balance it out every 3 years. And on that basis, I thought really that our rate for transportation would change every 2 or 3 years, as opposed to every year.
Mr. Chapman?
Through Mr. Chair, I think you're correct in that we don't hold religiously to trying to get this perfect in the following year. But the reality is that our transportation program would actually be in the hole in 2016 if we don't adjust the rate. So we're not getting even to the minimum stabilization balance. We're just essentially maintaining solvency within the transportation program in 2016.
Yeah, I can see that, but I would quite frankly would have thought that we could deal with that every 3 years rather than going, because it was a year ago now, it was 40 cents, and now we're down to 30, and you know, and it's fine because you're in a favorable position. You're going down. What is the impact on the homeowner?
Through the chair, it's 18% decrease, which amounts to $160 for the average customer who uses 2,100 cubic meters a year.
Yeah, was that in your report?
Yes.
Financial implications.
Pardon?
It's under financial implications on 5-3.
Okay. Yeah, that was the only concern, and I'm still trying to understand, going forward, your supply should be very close because you're doing more and more spot purchasing, right?
With the purchasing policy, our market price is a lot closer than it was in previous years.
Okay, that's all. That's the only questions I have.
Councillor Marsh?
Yeah, so currently Union Gas changes their prices quarterly, and we change our prices annually, is that correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
So if we were to, what would be the implications if we were to think about changing our prices more frequently than we do?
Through the chair, what we would have to do is prepare quarterly reports for council. We would also have to look at what the forward market for gas prices will be moving forward. We would not know what our actual costs are at the time, so the numbers would be an estimate as opposed to actual.
And what about every 6 months? Would that be easier to handle if there was an interest to do that?
It'd be easier than quarterly, but I still say that based on the way that we purchase gas and try to match it up with actual costs for our customers, an annual is more realistic. If the gas prices were to drop dramatically or increase dramatically, we have the option in our purchasing policy to come back to council and say the prices have dropped by 5 or 50%, or they have increased by 50%. We need to do action now. But in the marketplace today, it's so stable, the rates currently, that going on an annual basis is justified.
Okay, so if that were to change, then is it your understanding that absolutely you will come back to council to look at reducing gas rates if the prices on the market have dropped?
Through the chair, yes. We constantly look at where our portfolio stands, and if we see that the pricing is going either positive or negative, we would make that recommendation to come to council before the year is up.
Do you have a percentage rate by which you determine whether or not you're going to come to council? Is it 5% or more, or can you tell me, do you have an exact figure, or is it just more?
We don't have an exact figure. It all depends on the market. If you look back in 2008, natural gas prices started to climb exponentially. When we see that, and we have consultants on board that provide us with statistical information as to what's happening in the marketplace, we also get information in regards to drilling and extracting natural gas and what the demand is out in North America. So with those models and seeing where prices are heading, we could make a determination. We do not have a fixed number that we go by.
So when you were speaking earlier about the percentages that were allowed to lock in to fixed pricing, were we taking advantage of those fixed prices back in 2008, 2009, and was the percentage much greater at that time?
Back in 2008, 2009, what was happening was the market was escalating so rapidly. We were locking in prices based on what the purchasing policy had, but we noticed that prices were going way faster than what the market and the participants in that market expected. So we did not go out and buy a lot of gas at that point, but we wanted to lock our position to make sure that we don't have something that goes way beyond where the market was heading. So we didn't go out and say, oh, the market's going crazy, we got to buy gas now. We actually looked at it and said, what is the impact on the economy and what would happen? And our prediction was correct. Once the barrel of oil approached 150, you all of a sudden seen a shutdown in the North American economy. And all of a sudden, the demand was gone, and prices started to drop rapidly. So we were watching that, and we pegged that 150 on the oil to say there's going to be an issue if it gets beyond that, because manufacturing just cannot sustain prices at that level.
Thank you. I'm just, I've heard from a few residents who are concerned about the difference between our gas rates, which are typically higher than union gas rates, and would like to see, would be happy to see what's coming forward today. So that's great. But I just was trying to understand historically why we were consistently higher?
Why we were consistently higher was that Union Gas's purchasing policy changed at the same time that the market crashed. So if Union Gas was still utilizing the same purchasing strategy that they had as we did, you wouldn't have seen that huge difference. It's just a matter of timing between when the Ontario Energy Board advised the regulated companies to cease their program and go strictly on the market.
Mr. Chapman to add?
Through the Chair, just to add that it's all a matter of the time horizon and the perspective. If you had asked this question in the first 10 years of the program, you would have been very pleased with the answer. We were in the money on the program. We were outperforming Union Gas in terms of our purchasing policy. No one could have predicted the precipitous downturn that we saw in the past 5 years, and we're still paying a price for contracts that we locked in when prices were high.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Singh?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And for the benefit of our newest council members, council and staff did go through a very extensive review process of our rates. And, Wally, if you can kind of maybe elaborate, I think we were a long-term purchasing bylaw as opposed to Union Gas, which does spot market rate purchasing. And we decided after the public consultation and review process, we settled somewhere in the middle, where we do long-term purchasing, but also a certain component of that, and if you can remind us what that component is, at market rates.
Through the Chair, what we had was a 5-year purchasing policy in practice. Basically, we could purchase out 5 years in advance for commodity. With the pricing and the way it happened in the past 5 years, Council did their due diligence and looked at, does the policy make sense? We never had a review over that course of period of time. After the review, the customer survey is that customers want stable rates. They want to see, you pick a rate, tell me what it's going to cost me for the course of the year, and I know how to budget for that rate. They did not want to see the up and down rates that typically happen in the marketplace. So some of the examples that customers would give us is that if you look at the gas stations and the up and down prices going from 90 cents up to $1.35 a liter and back down, that's what our customers did not want. With the revised policy, we went to sort of a hybrid model where it was not 5 years anymore. We went down to 3 years, but we concentrated in the first 2 years to make sure the majority of our purchases happen in the market at that time period. The third year gives us a leg to say, just in case rates are predicting to go up, at least we could set a foot in the door that says we're capping our rates at a certain level.
In the delegation, Mr. Druitt referenced our staffing costs or certain costs that attributed to the purchasing, and they're built into our supply costs. What component would that be? Just so we have the relevance, keeping in mind that we are giving our customers, based on the feedback that we received, what they want of stability in rates.
If you look at 2014, the commodity charge itself was $31,425,331. Salary and wages of internal staff doing this was $203,287. The internal charges, which is the charges from revenue, purchasing, internally to the city, was $47,801. There was also administration professional services, so we obtained professional services for purchasing our natural gas. That was $163,317. So a total of $31,839,736 in 2014. $31,425,331 is the actual commodity in the marketplace price.
It puts into context of what the small component is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I actually just have two quick questions. First off, I don't recall, but are we automatically going to be revisiting the purchasing policy at some set time?
Through the chair was a 3-year review period, so that would take us, that council will review in 2017.
So this council will review that policy, okay?
That's correct.
And the other question I had was the the average homeowner is going to save $160, next year, which is great news. I do recall it went down last year. Do you remember roughly the amount for the average homeowner in recent years that's declined?
Can you repeat that question?
Comparing to the $160 per year that the average homeowner is going to save this year, I guess I'll phrase it in a different way. How many years has consistently now has this rate been declining? Do you recall? Have rates gone down instead of up?
Yeah, I'm not following the question.
Sorry, how many years, Mr. Chapman?
Through the chair, I don't think we have that information at our fingertips, so we can email you that before council, but I do believe you are correct that this is not the first rate reduction that you've seen. We can go back and see how far it's been since there was a rate increase.
Thank you very much. A few people in the queue now. Councillor Yaneski.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was absent and missed the beginning of this presentation. The decrease from the gas rates from 19 cents to 10.5. How did you arrive at 10.5? And should it be lower or should it be higher? And how does it compare to the union gas rate, which is right now, which I think is slightly higher, if you can correct me?
We take the gas purchases that we have in storage. So basically, we deplete our storage during the winter time. Summertime, we recharge our storage. So the pricing of the gas within that storage is the total cost that we paid for that storage to be in Dawn and Sarnia. What we take a look at is what have our customers paid in relation to that cost. So if they've paid more than what we're charged, then that's where you get a rebate as far as the cents per cubic meter. So in this case here, based on the total amount of dollars that we spent to put gas into our storage, less the amount of money that the customers have overpaid for that portion during the winter time up to today, we take that into consideration. That's where we come up with the 10.5 cents.
So is that rate below the union gas rate currently?
Through the chair, yes, it's below union gas by 0.5 cents.
By how much?
0.5 cents.
About half a penny. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Galway-Seelock.
Yeah, I'm just prepared to move the recommendation. I'm assuming that's the appropriate time? Or?
Yeah, Councillor Gazzola, do you want to comment? Do you have questions? Okay, do you want to comment now?
Yeah, I just quickly will make comments. It's already been pointed out pretty much that this is a good news story, that it's going to be an average residential customer is going to be saving $160 per year. And I think that that's good news, and we're moving in the right direction. And I think that that's a reflection of our new policy, and it's we're getting a little bit closer to market rates, but yet we're still providing our customers with the stability that they've asked for. So I really do think that this is good news moving forward.
Thank you. Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, incidentally, customers are saving $160 plus 13% on that. They're saving the HST also. I meant to ask a question on the transportation. I'm surprised to see the transportation costs are going up. It's such an increase. What is included in transportation costs? Like, generally, for most of us, transportation costs have been declining for the last couple of years. So what are we talking about here?
Through the chair, the transportation cost is to deliver the gas from outside of Ontario to the Ontario border. It's related to the gas pipelines that are servicing throughout North America. Those costs are attributed to those companies that maintain those transportation pipes. As maintenance work has to happen on them, as they do relocation work similar to what we do, their costs increase. And as their costs increase, they pass it on to the users of those transportation pipes.
Yeah, and I imagine that's what it was for, but how does this, has this affected Union Gas, for example? Are they looking at the same type of increase?
Through the chair, every utility in the province of Ontario would see the same sort of circumstances in regards to the transportation. They are subjected to tolls that they utilize to ensure the gas that they buy is delivered to their facilities in Ontario.
But is this a blip? Because I look back, and for a long period of time, the transportation charges were the same. So can we be expecting these to be continuing to go up, or are they going to go back down to where they were?
The current trend right now is it's going up. We are in negotiations. We just completed negotiations to purchase transportation lines from Niagara down to, say, the Milton area. That will provide us with an opportunity to access the shale gas that's next door to us at a lower premium on the transportation side. So we're seeing how the market is going and seeing where the bottlenecks are within the system. And we feel that by readjusting our portfolio a bit to try to get cheaper transportation and cheaper supply from a different region is a benefit to our customers. So right now the transportation is going up. One of the reasons that transportation is going up, if you've heard of TransCanada Pipelines and their Energy East, converting natural gas pipelines to oil pipelines to bring the oil to the East Coast, that has a major impact because now you're taking capacity that's in the natural gas side away from the natural gas commodity itself and replacing it with oil. So those are some of the market forces that are in place. Other companies are coming online to install new transportation pipelines throughout North America, but those projects cost a lot of money.
Okay, that's why I was curious. Thank you. I didn't realize, too, that you do sort of have choices. You don't have to deal with the same transportation company.
Through our purchasing, we negotiate with the commodity supplier to provide us with the transportation, and we sort of base it on our index price so that it gives us what the market is bearing, and it goes with the council's policy in regards to trying to get as close to market rates as possible. And with our transportation portfolio, that's what you're seeing, is that we're closer to the market rates.
Thank you.
Okay, there are no further questions. It's moved by Councillor Galloway-Sealock. I would just add that, again, I was very happy to see this. Just in time for the winter season, our rates are going down. The average customer is going to save $160 a year, which is fantastic news, and I'll be happy to support the rate change. Recorded vote has been called. The voting is open. Those in favor? Actually, that carries unanimously. Okay, very good. That concludes Finance and Corporate Services. We will take a 5-minute break to switch over the system for Community Infrastructure Services and Chair Ioannidis. Councillor Gazzola?
Yeah, I have a number of questions on the financial statements, but I would like to ask just one, if I could.
Ask one question, so we have to waive notice for that. Those in favor of asking questions on the variance report? That carries. Councillor Gazzola?
I just want to ask, I noticed that we had a favorable variance due to transit costs, to transit taxes. I don't know what was that on?
Mr. Chapman?
There was a substantial in payments in lieu of taxes, right. Sorry.
So the region assumed a property, the name eludes me, from the city for transit expansion. It was one of our old maintenance yards, and as a result, their payments in lieu of taxes increased. It's not a material increase in any one year, but given the retroactive nature of it, it's a bit of a windfall in this year. Okay. It's been built into the budget going forward.
No, and that's fine. My question really deals with going forward, where transit. The LRT will have stations and area buildings and all that. Are those premises taxable?
Through the chair, that's a good question. I don't have the answer to it, but I can follow up and get an answer.
And like the the central hub will be a substantial building and whatnot. So, yeah, I would like, if you could check that out, please.
Okay, thank you. That concludes Finance and Corporate Services. We'll be back at 2 for Community Infrastructure. At 2.